So that area is 100.234. So that will be our target for next week. What I would like to see is for price to pull back into these areas of 99.423 and 99.213. Stop loss below 99.213 before we take off into the bullish target of 100.234. Welcome back, guys. So last week the opposite happened. You can see price went to the target before coming for the pullback. However, going into next week, I still expect this whole zone to hold. All right, price has come for the pullback, although if we go to the weekly time frame, you can see that we closed with a bearish candle. So I'll still be expecting some little bearish move properly into the zone, which is between 99.547 and 99.134. So a proper pullback before we take off. Now, if we take off on DXY, my long-term target is all the way up here, which is 101.226. So let's go back to the 4-hour time frame. This time I'm going to remove this line in the middle. And then if this area holds, then I want to see price push all the way up to 101.226. All right. However, if for some crazy reasons price break below 99.134, then we'll catch it on the pullback. All right. Then we'll trade into the bearish target of 98.697. But for now, I'm strongly bullish on DXY. The next on my list is EURUSD. So going into next week, guys, so I'd like to see price pull back into that area, stop loss above 1.16022, and then our bearish target is all the way down here, which is 1.13983. Welcome back, guys. So on EURUSD, the same thing, just like DXY last week, you will notice that instead of us to go for an initial pullback into our zone of 1.16022 and 1.15851, before selling, price initially sold off around Monday and Tuesday. Then around Wednesday, price now went for the pullback. So now the pullback is complete. However, if we go to the weekly time frame, due to the fact that we closed with a bullish candle for last week, I think on this weekly time frame, price wants to go for a pullback. Now let me show you what I mean. From here, from the bottom to the top, price was creating series of higher highs and higher lows, right? Higher low, equal high at this point. Remember, price is coming from the bottom to the top. This is the top here, right? Then price has now gone on to give us a change in market structure, giving us a new lower low. So what do you think price intends to do? Is trying to come back and retest the newly broken structure before we continue trading to the downside, right? So my bearish target remains 1.13983. So back to the 4-hour time frame, or before I go back to the 4-hour time frame, let's go back to the weekly time frame. So you may be wondering, why do I have these two lines here of 1.16229 and 1.16125? That's the area, if this bullish move continues, that I want to see price come into before we get that sell we are looking for. Now let's go back to the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, even though it looks like our pullback is complete from last week's analysis, for the fact that price was mostly bullish last week, even though it's trading at our pullback area, my termination point, the last area, because I still strongly believe that a bullish move may still occur into this area up here that I quoted earlier, right? You can rewind a bit to watch that area. So even if you must sell here, right, I will still recommend that your stop loss is above 1.16229. all right, or you can be patient enough for price to come into that area properly before you sell. So I want to see a bullish to bearish move next week. Remember, our bearish target remains 1.13983. the only time I'll be interested in buying EURUSD is when price takes out this area properly. Once again, 1.16229 area, take it out properly before, then come back for a pullback. Then I can now buy into this area here, which is, if I double click, 1.1711 4. All right, but I'm mostly bearish. All right, I'm mostly bearish from this area to the downside. So that is that on Euro USD. The next on my list is USD JPY. So these are areas I'll be looking for buys, which is around 153.190 and 152.908. Remember, my bullish target still remains all the way up here, which is 157.714. Welcome back, guys. You can see how price initially came for the pullback around here before taking off again, then came back and settled there for the week. Okay, now if we go to the weekly time frame, you can now see that we closed last week with a bearish candle. Now price has been impulsively bullish for quite some time. Does it mean price will still come for that monthly pullback area that I identified in the last analysis? Meanwhile, the last analysis was uploaded on Facebook. All right, so those that watch will understand what I'm talking about. So during the month of November, price may come into these areas of 151.467 and 150.730 before we take off. I am bullish for the month. All right, even though we are bearish so far, I am still bullish for the month. Okay, so if price goes for a deeper pullback, then this area would be where price is intending to come into before it takes off into our target of 157.714. Let's jump to the 4-hour time frame. So if price is to attempt this monthly pullback area like I identified in the last video, then price has to break below 152.908. We catch it on the pullback, stop loss above 153.190. Then our target will be 151.467. Now, to take advantage of this, the moment a 4-hour candlestick breaks and closes below that zone, then go to the 15 minutes time frame and wait for a pullback. All right, in the Let's Trade 10x Academy, we have our unique trading execution. So what I'm saying here is just strictly based on analysis. Okay, so if you want to take advantage of that using our simple analysis, then you should do that. But in the signal group, this is not how we trade. In the mentorship, this is not how we trade. Remember, for us to execute, price has to progress. Okay, so I can't say for a fact exactly where and when I'll be getting in, but for analytic purposes and those that know how to apply it with the strategy they already have, this is what I would recommend you do. However, there is a possibility that price could continue higher from here. So to play it safe, if USD JPY is committed to trading to 157.714, then this within these two zones, do nothing. Okay, wait for price to break out of 154.463, catch it on the pullback, stop loss below, TP above. All right, and if price is going to attempt our monthly pullback area or our weekly pullback area, then wait for price to break below, catch it on the pullback and trade into the downside before we continue bullish. All right, so that's that on USD JPY. The next on my list is GBP USD. So two things are involved going into next week. Is either price continues trading all the way to the downside into this bearish target of 1.3408 before we buy. All right, but if we go for an initial pullback, then I'd like to see that pullback come into 1.32764 and 1.32622 before we sell again to the downside. Welcome back, guys. So just like Euro USD, I actually wanted to see price last week traded into our targets, but without giving us the pullback. All right, so going into next week, what should we expect? First of all, let me look at the weekly candle. We close with a bullish candle from this region here. I've identified this area a long time ago. So a decent pullback will be for price to come into this area here. Okay, these areas of 1.32764 and 1.32135 before we sell off again. All right, so but let's go to the 4-hour time frame to get a detailed analysis on this. I'll delete this zone here. So I think price is targeting this region. Let me delete this. So price is targeting these zones here. Once again, 1.32764 and 1.32135. So I'd like to see price come into that area. Stop loss above 1.32764 and our targets will be back here 1.3048. Okay, so look out for that. All right, so that is that. The next on my list is gold. Now, last week on gold, I said we should be patient for price to either break above or break below, and that didn't happen. Okay, that didn't happen. Gold has been trending for months now. Of course, it's only normal for it to slow down a bit, catch its momentum, and decide where next to trade. Okay, so for now you have to be super patient, except if you have, like I said, strategies that you can apply that can still help you place trades within these regions here. But if you're going with analysis strictly, then I would recommend you wait for price to break out of either of these two zones, just like I analyzed last week. Okay, so yep, you can pause the video and zoom into this right section to copy the values of these lines I have on the chart here, these two most importantly. Then you use this above as target and you use this below as bearish targets too. Bullish target, bearish targets. All right, so that is that on gold. The last on my list is GBP JPY. So last week I really didn't talk on GBP JPY because I said it looked confusing, so I didn't analyze GBP JPY. But as you can see, it looks like GBP JPY has completed its pullback on this weekly time frame. You can see our price is creating higher highs, higher lows, higher high. The higher low looks like it has been is complete, right? Then you can see price is already rejecting. My bullish target on GBP JPY is 206.092. Okay, so if we go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that price has continued higher. Remember our overall target all the way up here, 206.092. All right, so but on this 4-hour time frame, what I would like to see is you can see that since price dropped into here, it has been bullish. Price may want to come back for that pullback in between these 201.157 and 200.347 before taking off again. Now, if that happens on this 4-hour time frame, our first target will be 203.773 and second target will be 206.092. All right, so that will be all for this week. If you like the video, please do well to like, leave us a comment about what you think we should be expecting in the market next week constructively. All right, it's what the comment section is open. Let's continue the conversation down there. You may be the one that is right and I end up being wrong, even though I'm mostly right on this channel. But of course, we all see the market from different perspective, which is welcomed on this channel. All right, do well to also share the video, like, comment, and I wish you a successful trade.